Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. With family, faith, and freedom. This is a Special Curtis Report. Special Curtis Report. Truth that affects you right now.
Thanks, and welcome back to the Curtis Report. We appreciate you being with us. It's been a while, so this is a special report, no matter what station you're listening to, a special report that we're doing. You know, you hear this title, Special Report. It's special in the sense that I'm about to be back on my longtime protagonist, if you will, John Wiley Price. Now, for those of you who are listening outside of Dallas-Fort Worth area, that name may not resonate with you. It may not mean a whole bunch to you, but it is meaningful. John Wiley Price, who is a staple of the political dynasty, if you will. A dynasty is not the right word, but certainly a political lion, if you will, here in Dallas County. He is the longest serving Dallas County official in the history of Dallas County, John Wiley Price. John Wiley Price is a black man. Now, I say that because that's important. He would tell you that. I mean, I know John Wiley, and Mr. Price would tell you he's a black man. He wears that proudly. That's something that's part of who he is. That's part of his life. That is part of his play, if you will. That's what John Wiley Price is about, his blackness. And so much of what I'm about to say is about the blackness of John Wiley Price and how he manipulates your blackness, your whiteness, or any ethnicity that you have. This man has a history, and it's just sickening, really. You know, and if you really look at it, it's just absolutely sickening. He is just the epitome. He is the poster child for that classic black politician going to black areas, making promises of free stuff, handouts, pointing the finger not at the black community and the things that could be done in the black community about personal responsibility, about accepting your role in your community, about accepting your position in your family, taking care of your children. What is the benefit of your community? They're on the block, they're in the district, they're wherever. You know, it's not about personal responsibility with him. That isn't what this thing's about with him. But he's that classic politician that wants to tell you and remind you, threaten you, because he's black. That's what he does, because he's black. He's been doing that for years. Years upon years upon years to the black community, you know, and he's been very successful with that. He has been utterly successful with that. And as we get into more and more detail, because he literally profits off of it. John Wiley Price profits off the struggles of black people. Well documented. I mean, he accepts that even. And it's something that he wears as a badge of honor. You know, the second badge he wears there, the Misery of Black People badge, right next to his blackness badge. Two badges he's wearing today. This is John Wiley Price. That classic liberal politician that want to promise, deliver very little, and simply take advantage of you for your vote. He's been doing it for years. This man, John Wiley Price, just recently won re-election. In the primaries, he beat Mr. Caraway, former Mayor Pro Tem John Caraway. And I'll say this about Caraway. Now, he and I have had our differences over the years on a number of different things. And there have been some profound differences. But it's interesting that he and I can carry on a dialogue. And the former Mayor Pro Tem Mr. Caraway and I, we have talked a number of times before the primary, after the primary, before the incident at KHVN where he had a physical altercation with John Wiley Price, and after that incident. I'm laughing. It wasn't funny. But after that incident. But I can tell you something about Caraway. You know, he's a little craftier, and He's less snakish than your John Wiley Price. What you see with Caraway is what you get. I mean, it's pretty much there. And in the underhanded backroom deals, which we're going to get to here in a minute, well documented with John Wiley Price. With Caraway is pretty much what you get. You can accept what he says or not. You can agree with him or not. And I disagree with a whole bunch of them. But I respect Caraway in a number of different ways. One is his willingness to take on John Wiley Price against a whole lot. And I commend him for that. Even though he's a different party affiliation than me, and he's doing things a little bit different. But his willingness to take on John Wiley Price in that uphill battle there in South Dallas. And it really is, as we talk about John Wiley Price, it is just as much a reflection of the black community as it is on John Wiley Price. It's just as much a reflection. You know what the problem is? You know what the problem is with the black community and just black people in general? See, I can say this. Black people can say this. But of course, if a white person said it, you're automatically a racist. You already knew that, didn't you? You as a white person, or Hispanic, or Asian, or Native American, Indian, whatever. I'm not politically correct. Whatever. What the heck ever it's supposed to be. You can't say that. I mean, you realize that, right? I mean, there's certain things that a white person can say and cannot say in acceptable political conversations now. I mean, you know that, right? I'm not being facetious when I keep asking you, do you know that? Because, you know, there's a group of folks who will tell you any attempt for them to object on any policy related to the black community, or quote unquote black issues, those things that have been noted as black issues over the years, has warranted a racist label for white people, or a non-black person commenting on quote unquote black issues, whatever that may be. I mean, you already know that, don't you? And you knowing that, white person, I mean, and it's just you knowing that, you are unable or unwilling to make a comment of a truthful nature and an honest nature about issues that would normally be called black issues. That's interesting. Because that shuts you down, doesn't it? It stifles debate, ends debate on your part as a white person or as a non-black person. You know, and John Wiley Price in so many ways epitomizes this. John Wiley Price in so many ways revels in this. But you know, the issue with black people is, it's two things, really. One thing is pretty easy to see, and that is, number one, is that black people accept non-intellectual leadership. It's true. I mean, look at the John Wiley Prices, and look at the Ben Jealouses, and look at the all these black folks on the local level that you see, even the national level, that supposedly represents black people. Royce West, come on. Royce West is a vocal leader for the black community. John Wiley Price, a vocal leader of the black community. Really? They don't want you to think. They just want you to accept free stuff. They don't want you to accept a responsibility. Because, you know, accepting responsibility in the black community for a black man would first and foremost means you'd have to take care of your family. You'd have to get a job. You'd have to answer to some established entity, some authority. That would mean an involved citizenry. So in so many ways, black leadership doesn't want black men in the black community to become aware, to be involved, to be a part of. They want black men in particular to accept a submissive, nonchalant, non-caring, non-intellectual role in the black community. Second issue in the black community, before I really get onto John Wiley Price, is, and I really want you to think about this, you know. Now get this, and I want you to really think about this. I want you to think about this term and understand what I'm about to say, of the issues of the black community. The second issue of the black community is that the black community has been socially conditioned to accept low expectations. Do you get that? That the black community, let me say that again, but that the black community has been socially conditioned for the acceptance of low expectations. Black people in the black community are expected, now they've come to accept now that the leadership in the black community won't do anything. They've come to accept now, this has been socially conditioned, to accept low expectations for them and their family. Think about that point. Socially conditioned for the acceptance of low expectations. When you have black leadership in the black community, like John Wiley Price, encouraging not economic and entrepreneurship, and speaking of which, entrepreneurship, did you know that in the black community, black people have the lowest percentage of entrepreneurship in the country? Black people do. Black people aren't entrepreneurs for the most part. Not surprising, is it? Think about what I just said. That doesn't surprise you, does it? Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise black leadership because they complain so much about what's happening in the black community. Of course, they've done nothing about it. The largest metropolitan areas of this country have been ran by Democratic and predominantly black leadership for the last 50 or 60 years. I'm talking about Philadelphia. I'm talking about Chicago. I'm talking about Detroit. I am talking about many of the upper northeastern cities of this country have been ran by black Democratic leadership for the last 50 years. And look at these cities. Look at the economic decay of these cities. Think about that. Generation after generation of black people in these cities have come to be socially conditioned to accept low expectations, much to the detriment of the African American community and the benefit of those politicians who knowingly pervert that point. John Wiley Price is one of them. We'll be back with more of the Curtis Report in just a moment.